All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to This Explainer, where we are going to unpack what is honestly one of the most baffling geographical and historical mysteries on the planet. We're talking about Mount Kailash. And, as you'll soon realize from the source material we're analyzing today, this is way more than just a pile of rock and ice. This mountain is essentially a vault. It's this massive, imposing site, absolutely overflowing with unsolved mysteries that literally break the boundaries of conventional science. Today, we're going to explore some incredibly compelling claims, from intense magnetic anomalies and ancient defense systems, all the way to the legendary, hidden underground city it supposedly conceals, Shambhala.
Right off the bat, we're faced with a massive, glaring anomaly. To really put this into perspective, let's compare the numbers, because that's when the mystery really deepens. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world, sitting at 8,848 meters. To date, over 7,000 people have successfully scaled it. But then, we look at Mount Kailash. It stands at just 6,638 meters. That is over 2,000 meters shorter than Everest, yet it remains virtually unconquered. The source notes that, aside from one legendary historical claim, no modern climber has ever reached its summit. So we really have to ask ourselves, what exactly is happening on Kailash that physically stops people from climbing a mountain that's so much smaller than Everest?
Well, this baffling inaccessibility is perfectly mirrored by the mountain's modern history, and honestly, it is a history plagued by unexplainable tragedies and high geopolitical tension. Following a 1962 border war, the region fell under Chinese administration. But the truly chilling events happen when people actually try to conquer the peak. Take 1991, for example. A joint team of Chinese and Japanese scientists waited for clear weather to make an ascent. Everything looked fine. But shortly after they started, this sudden, terrifying storm just materialized out of thin air, blocking their path and tragically resulting in the deaths of 19 scientists. Fast forward to 1999, a Russian expedition spent months researching the area and came back with a wild theory about the mountain's structure. Finally, after continuous accidents, including a Chinese helicopter expedition where the aircraft's entire navigation system systematically failed midair, China officially banned all climbing on Kailash in 2001. But the extreme environmental hazards and the deadly storms? That is only half the story. The few climbers who have attempted the ascent and actually survived reported some genuinely bizarre physical anomalies. We're talking about a terrifying phenomenon of rapid aging, nails and hair reportedly growing at extreme, completely unnatural rates. Climbers who were only missing for a few days returned with deep wrinkles, looking as though they'd literally aged a decade. Tragically, the source notes that many of these survivors actually died within 2 years of returning. Add to that the complete failure of compasses, radars, and navigation systems the exact second you get close to the peak, and you have a location that seemingly defies the very laws of physics and time.
So the crucial point here is how we even begin to categorize a place like this. Interestingly, both ancient beliefs and modern observations point to Kailash acting as an axis mundi, which is the theoretical center of the Earth. The working theory for all these massive technological failures is that this specific location generates a magnetic force so extreme it just completely fries modern technology. Think of it like a giant, naturally occurring electromagnetic shield wrapped around the mountain, actively pushing back against anything digital or mechanical.
And the anomalies aren't just limited to the mountain itself. No, just 35 kilometers away, we find this fascinating environmental duality. We have two lakes situated in the exact same climate, the exact same geographic location, yet they behave like they exist on completely different planets. Lake Mansarovar is the world's highest freshwater lake. Its sweet water is always perfectly calm and, inexplicably, its temperature stays constant all year round. It never freezes. Ancient texts attribute its creation to the god Brahma. But then, right next to it, is Rakshas Tal. This lake is saltwater, highly turbulent, like it's boiling with this internal restlessness, and its temperature fluctuates wildly. Texts attribute this lake to the demon king Ravana. This stark contrast, sitting side by side in the same freezing environment, completely baffles scientists to this day. With all of these undeniable physical and magnetic anomalies on the surface, the time dilation, the total tech blackouts, the impossible twin lakes, it really forces us to peel back the layers. If the outside of the mountain behaves this violently just to keep people away, we have to ask the ultimate question. What exactly might be hiding inside the mountain itself?
Which brings us right back to that 1999 Russian expedition led by the researcher Ernst Moldeshev. After months of studying the geology and the surrounding area with a whole team of historians and geologists, Moldeshev published a truly jaw-dropping claim.
He stated, with absolute conviction, that Mount Kailash is not a natural mountain at all. Actually, scratch that. He said it's a man-made hollow pyramid. According to his accounts, at night, his team repeatedly heard strange, heavy echoing noises coming directly from deep inside the mountain, almost as if something, or someone, was living inside of it.
What's really fascinating here is how Moldashev's modern scientific theory perfectly mirrors ancient texts. Both Hindu and Buddhist scriptures describe a majestic, hidden underground city located exactly where Kailash stands today. This legendary city is known as Shambhala. It's described as this sprawling, hollowed-out metropolis deep within the earth, inhabited by highly advanced, immortal beings who have supposedly been living there for thousands of years.
But let's play devil's advocate for a second. If an ancient, highly advanced city truly exists, hollowed out inside Mount Kailash, it raises an immediate and highly practical question. Humanity has mapped the entire globe. We've climbed the highest peaks. We've put satellites in space. So how on earth has this city remained completely protected and hidden from us for so long? Who or what is acting as its security system? According to the source material, the area is protected by a fierce, escalating line of defense known as the Guardians of Kailash. It starts on a very visceral, physical level with the Yeti, often called the abominable snowmen. Locals describe them as 12 to 14-foot tall, half-bear, half-monkey beings whose very presence is considered a dark omen. Scaling up from cryptids, there are human ascetics known as agoris, who supposedly possess mystic powers allowing them to live up to 200 years in the freezing cold. And even deeper in the lore, at the absolute peak of this defense system, are the Maha-agoris. These are ancient, powerful beings who have allegedly been meditating in these icy peaks for 4,000 to 5,000 years, actively projecting energies that repel any intruders.
And before you dismiss all of this as pure mythology, consider the modern evidence, because these guardians aren't just confined to ancient folklore. In 2019, the Indian Army actually made global headlines. During a Himalayan expedition, they documented and photographed massive 3 to 4 foot giant footprints right there in the snow. For the locals who live in the shadows of these mountains, those photos were just modern proof of what they've always known. The Yeti is absolutely real, and it is actively patrolling the perimeter of Kailash.
Now, beyond the physical guardians and the magnetic shields, the mountain's defenses supposedly even extend into the auditory realm. Visitors constantly report hearing acoustic anomalies, specifically the continuous booming sound of the sacred syllable Om and the rhythmic beating of a damru drum, just echoing right through the peaks. Now, of course, scientists attempt to explain this away by saying, oh, it's just the sound of high-speed winds crashing into the specific shape of the ice and rock. But as the source rightly points out, there are countless snowy, windy mountains on Earth. Why is it that these highly specific, rhythmic sounds only happen on Mount Kailash? So, let's recap. We have severe time dilation. We have magnetic fields that literally crash helicopters. We have cryptids leaving massive footprints, thousands of years old ascetics, and mountains that seem to chant in the wind. All of these intense, unparalleled defense mechanisms lead us directly to one final, ultimate question. What could possibly be so important, so overwhelmingly powerful that it requires this level of security? What is Shambhala actually protecting?
Well, the ancient texts provide a pretty chilling answer. According to the lore explored in our source, hidden deep beneath the thick ice and rock of Kailash are ancient, divine weapons of unimaginable, world-ending power. We are talking about legendary armaments from ancient epics, perfectly preserved and hidden far away from humanity. This vault supposedly holds the Brahmashare and the Brahmastra, weapons that are often compared to modern nuclear devices in their descriptive destruction. It also reportedly holds Arjuna's famous Gandiv bow and the Sharung. These aren't just artifacts, they are literal tools of absolute devastation, kept strictly out of human hands.
And among these ancient weapons of war lies something even more fascinating, the Shiromani gem. The source details how this divine jewel was originally taken from the warrior Ashwathama by Lord Krishna himself. Later on, when the Pandava brothers were on their final journey to the heavens to seek redemption, Yudhishthira was instructed by Krishna to hide this incredibly powerful gem right inside Mount Kailash. The texts state it was placed there for absolute safekeeping, just patiently waiting beneath the ice for the rightful moment to be unearthed.
Which brings us to a truly provocative thought to leave you with today. All of this, the world-ending weapons, the divine gem, the ancient immortal guardians of Shambhala, none of it is dead or abandoned. The lore explicitly states that these forces are in a state of active waiting. They're basically on standby, biding their time until the end of the Kali Yuga, which is the current age of darkness and strife we are supposedly living in right now. The texts say that when this age reaches its absolute breaking point, these hidden vaults will finally open, and these divine weapons will be used to assist Lord Kalki in one final world-cleansing battle. So the next time you look at a map of the Himalayas, just remember, Mount Kailash might not just be a mountain, it might be a countdown. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning what lies beneath the surface.